Stronger.
Hello and welcome to Newsview. First story tonight, Wolfram Alpha, according to MarketWatch.com, has launched and applied computational knowledge to data from users. Dateline Champaign, Illinois. Via Comtex and MarketWire, Wolfram Alpha LLC announced the immediate availability of Wolfram Alpha Pro, a new service building on its widely used Wolfram Alpha computational knowledge engine. Quote, Wolfram Alpha Pro is a major step forward for Wolfram Alpha and the concept of computational knowledge, unquote, said Stephen Wolfram, founder and CEO of Wolfram Alpha LLC. He also said, quote, it is the single most important development for Wolfram Alpha since the original website launched in 2009. Wolfram Alpha Pro emphasizes closer interaction between the user and the Wolfram Alpha computational knowledge engine. A key feature is to upload virtually any common kind of file or data for automatic analysis. Raw tubular data, images, audio, XML, and dozens of specialized scientific, medical, and mathematical formats are among the more than 60 formats currently supported by Wolfram Alpha Pro. You can see more about that at MarketWatch.com, where once again, Nigam Arora says that the breaking news is that the Japanese Ministry of Economy is planning to cut dysprosium demand by over 30%. Dysprosium is a rare earth element, but this is a negative for rare element resources limited, as it reduces demand. Rare element is a minor of rare earths, yet rare earths is a misnomer, he says, as the minerals are plentiful in nature. He also says dysprosium is used in making hard disks, lasers, advanced lighting, nuclear reactor, control rods, dosimeters, terphenol D, and transducers, I mean. And for more about that, go to MarketWatch.com. And according to the National Journal at nationaljournal.com, Santorum has unloaded on Romney's gotcha politics. In Oklahoma City, they say it's no more Mr. Nice Guy for Rick Santorum. This newly energized presidential candidate Thursday launched a full-throated attack on front-runner Mitt Romney, they say, saying the former Massachusetts governor's campaign quote, has been about serially tearing down opponents without offering any kind of vision for what he wants to do for this country. This is gotcha politics, he says. He says, quote, this is the gotcha politics of Mitt Romney, unquote, said Santorum, sounding complaints almost identical to those lodged by rival conservative Newt Gingrich against Romney after Gingrich won the South Carolina primary last month. Santorum went on to say, quote, he's not interested in talking about the issues, unquote. He also said, quote, he's interested in trying to pander to make political sauce when there's real substantive issues about how we're going to try to change this government. And he's on the wrong side of it, unquote, said Santorum. Tailoring his message to his audience, a major energy-producing state, Santorum said he favors hydrofracking, which is a relatively new process of extracting natural gas by breaking up rock with pressured water. Environmentalists say hydrofracking causes groundwater pollution, though. Santorum said, quote, it's the new boogeyman. And you can see more about that at nationaljournal.com. In other news comes from Los Angeles, California, where Los Angeles County has okayed hefty fines for throwing footballs, frisbees on beaches. According to CBS Los Angeles, when you head down to the beach for a little fun this summer, county officials want you to leave the pigskin at home. The Board of Supervisors this week agreed to raise fines for anyone who throws a football or frisbee on any beach in LA County. In passing, the 37-page ordinance that does this, Tuesday is when this happened, officials sought to outline responsibilities for the law enforcement and the other public agencies while also providing clarification on beach-goer activities that could potentially disrupt or even injure the public. Quote, according to Lucy Kim from the LA County Department of Beaches and Harbors, a first-time offender will have to pay a $100 fine. For a second offense, beachgoers actually have to face a $200 fine. 3 or more infractions of this law within 1 year will result in a $500 fine, Kim said. The updated rules now prohibit any person to cast, toss, throw, kick, or roll any object other than a beach ball or volleyball upon or over any beach between Memorial Day and Labor Day in LA County. Exceptions allow for ball throwing in pre-designated areas when a person obtains a permit or playing water polo, quote, in or over the Pacific Ocean, unquote. However, during the winter off-season, the new rules will be relaxed. Officials warned that any activities that could potentially harm, quote, any person or property in, on, or near the beach, unquote, should not be allowed during the peak summer season. They go on to say, quote, "Your kids could also end up costing you big bucks. The ordinance also prohibits digging any hole deeper than 18 inches into the sand, except where permission is granted for film and TV production services only." Now, according to Time Magazine and Yahoo News, Brad Tuttle says, Washington footing the cell phone bill for millions of low-income Americans. Last year, a federal program paid out $1.6 billion to cover free cell phones and monthly bills of 12.5 million wireless accounts. The program, overseen by the FCC and intended to help low-income Americans, is popular for obvious reasons, they say, with participation rising steeply since 2008, the year Newsview started, when the government paid $772 million for phones and monthly bills. But observers complain that the program suffers from poor oversight, in which phones go to people who don't qualify, and hundreds of thousands of those who do qualify have more than one phone. Last summer, a Pittsburgh Tribune review story shed some light on government program that relatively few Americans knew existed. The Lifeline program provides low-income Americans with free cell phones and covers up to 253 minutes each month. As many as 5.5 million residents in Pennsylvania alone could qualify for the program, which is funded primarily by the Universal Service Fund fee added to bills and landline and wireless customers. The program came to be after the Telecommunications Act of 1996 was passed, and the FCC created the Universal Service Fund to help to promote the availability of quality services at just reasonable and affordable rates, quote unquote, among other things. All telecommunications carriers must pay into the fund, and many do so by tacking on a fee to each of their customers' bills, and it probably is added into your monthly wireless bill and your landline bill if you still have one. We'll take a break. Stay tuned for Newsview and Newsview weather tonight on Newsview after this break. Welcome back to Newsview. I'm Michael Badger. According to news.com.au, an Australian news site, no more Kodak moments. Camera kings to shut down. Kodak, Eastman Kodak, that is, says it will stop making digital cameras, pocket video cameras, and digital picture frames, marking the end of an era for the company that brought photography to the masses more than a century ago. Founded by George Eastman in 1880, Kodak was known all over the world for its Brownie and Instamatic cameras and its yellow and red film boxes. They say, though, the company was battered by Japanese competition in the 1980s. And was then unable to keep pace with the shift from film to digital technology. Rochester, New York-based company, which filed for bankruptcy protection last month, said it will phase out the product lines in the first half of this year and instead look for other companies to license its brand for the products. They say it's an especially poignant moment for Kodak, which in 1975, using a new type of electronic sensor invented 6 years earlier at Bell Labs, a Kodak engineer named Steven Sasson created the first digital camera. That's right, the first digital camera was invented in 1975 using technology 10 years before. It was toaster-sized and captured black and white images at a resolution of 0.1 megapixels. The 1990s Kodak. Through the 1990s, Kodak spent some U.S. $4 billion on developing the photo technology inside most of today's mobile phones and digital devices. But a reluctance to ease its heavy financial reliance on film allowed rivals such as Canon and Sony to rush into the fast-emerging digital arena. They say this immensely lucrative analog business Kodak worried about undermining was virtually erased in a decade by filmless photography that it invented. So Kodak invented filmless photography, tried to save filmless photography, and failed. Today, the standalone digital camera faces stiff competition as smartphone cameras gain broader use. Kodak owns patents that cover a number of basic functions in many smartphone cameras. The company picked up $27 million in patent licensing fees in the first half of 2011. They're going to stick to printers. Since 2005, the company has poured hundreds of millions of dollars into its new line of inkjet printers. Once the digital camera business is phased out, Kodak said its consumer business will focus on printing. Kodak said it's working with its retailers to ensure an orderly transition. The company will continue to honor product warranties and provide technical support for the discontinued products. $100 by doing so. And the company didn't say how many jobs will be eliminated as a result of this decision, but did say it expects to take a charge of $30 million related to separation costs. I'm Michael Badger, and here's what I have to say about Kodak. Why did you stop the disc film cameras and supporting them? Okay, Kodak, why did you do that? This was a few years ago. Maybe 10 years ago now. Also in other news, news.com.au once again, for the second time tonight. They say NASA biocapsules can diagnose astronauts and pass on medicine under their skin. NASA has created an implant that, when inserted into an astronaut, it can diagnose, quote unquote, and pass medicine into their body without them even knowing it. Known as NASA biocapsules, the technology breakthrough could also be used on Earth to treat cancer victims and diabetics. The implant was created by Dr. David Wolfowitz at the Space Biosciences Division at NASA Ames, and has been described as a doctor under your skin, quote unquote, technology it's been named that by Gizmodo. I've heard it pronounced both ways. Dr. David Wolfowitz said that the biocapsule containing cells to treat a number of potential medical threats could be inserted into astronauts prior to launch. For example, the capsule could contain cells to sense high levels of radiation and automatically dispense medicine to. The capsules are capable of delivering many doses over a period of years. There is no known enzyme that can break down their nanostructures, Dr. David Wolfowitz told Gizmodo. The biocapsule stays in the body until it is eventually removed by a doctor back on Earth. The NASA biocapsule has been awarded a patent, and Dr. Wolfowitz believes it could be help to diabetics by delivering insulin or deliver chemotherapy to cancer victims. Dr. Wolfowitz said we could be using biocapsule on Earth within 10 to 15 years. And they also say here that Microsoft is going to unveil Windows 8 in late February 2012. They say they'll pull the covers off Windows 8, a radical rethinking of the operating system that runs most of the world's computers, and it has a clear goal in sight, the iPad. Microsoft is going to try to run things like the iPad with Windows. The software giant will talk about the forthcoming release on that date and hold what is essentially a massive public beta of the next generation operating system, an overhaul intended to stress the growing importance of tablet computers and smartphones to the overall technology, said News. This according to news.com.au. Users will most likely be able to download software for free that day, though Microsoft refused to confirm when it would be available. The new operating system is a revamped user interface that Microsoft calls Metro. It will run on top of the conventional interface and is intended to work not just with the world's hundreds of millions of Windows computers, but also with the emerging mobile devices that have taken consumers by storm. The new interface will also display applications as tiles for quick easy access, while also allowing them to toggle back to a classic Windows look. Other user interface changes already unveiled include the new lock screen for the operating system that gives far more information at a glance than the current iteration of Windows and pervasive touch input controls. Yet another signal that Microsoft will be focused on devices that emphasize touch in the future. I added the in the future. And according to other news, the AP tells us that hours after Greece's decision to slash government spending in an attempt to ease its debt crisis. Germany's finance minister has questioned whether the deal goes far enough to earn a crucial Euro 130 billion bailout. Greece's new austerity plan would make deep cuts to wages and public sector jobs, and it ignited fresh criticism from unions and the country's deputy labor minister, who resigned in protest. But finance ministers from the other 16 countries that use the euro at a meeting in Brussels to scrutinize the deal indicated that even those painful steps may not be enough to get Greece's economy back on track. That from the AP. And there's a lot more of that story. If you can find it, good for you. And in other news, according to the BGR.com Boy Genius report, Mega Upload shutdown did nothing to slow piracy, says a study conducted by Deep Field Networks. They analyzed web traffic from 6 companies that provide storage facilities responsible for roughly 80% of all file sharing traffic. According to that firm, Mega Upload's files accounted for a huge portion of that traffic before a series of raids took that service offline last month. Between 30% and 40% of all file sharing downloads came from Mega Upload, but the service moved so much data that global internet traffic immediately decreased by between 2% and 3% when Mega Upload services were taken offline on January 18th, 2012. As big as Mega Upload was, however, the service closure has not had the effect on file sharing that copyright holders might have hoped. According to Deep Field, web traffic related to file sharing recovered almost immediately as users shared MediaFire. To compound matters, it looks like the internet service providers in the United States will take the biggest hit following Mega Upload's closure. They say that, quote, instead of terabytes of North America Mega Upload traffic going to U.S. servers, most file sharing traffic now comes from Europe over far more expensive transatlantic links. Deep Field noted. And that's it for news tonight on Newsview. I'm Michael Badger. Tune in again Monday nights at sometimes 10:30 and always at 1 a.m. and Friday nights at 9 p.m. and midnight. Now, your weather after this. Tonight's Newsview weather forecast. Friday night, mostly cloudy, snow possible, low 14. Weekend sunshine, cold, highs in the mid to upper 20s and lows in the teens. This has been your Newsview weather. Thank you and good night.